Thank you. Now, pursuant to committee practice, we'll now move to a 2-to-1 questioning. Mr. Hern, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the witnesses for being here. Before we get into today's testimony, I want to give credit where credit's due. First of all, I want to say thank you to my dear friend, Mr. Snyder, on his comments on international tax. It's spot on. It's something that we know works. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for all your work and your leadership on that. I want to thank this administration and Secretary Besant for their relentless, unwavering fight to protect American tax sovereignty in the OECD negotiations. The previous administration gave away significant leverage in pursuit of a deal that was highly damaging to the American worker. The Trump administration has refused to surrender our tax sovereignty, the very power our founders enshrined in Article 1, Section 7, when the shot heard around the world was fired over the principle that Americans, and only Americans, will decide how Americans are taxed and governed. That principle is not negotiable. I will say that again. It's not negotiable, not in 1775 and not in 2025. And as long as I have the privilege of serving in this body, I will fight anyone, foreign or domestic, who tries to take that away from us. I'm hopeful that the negotiated side-by-side agreement will protect U.S. businesses and U.S. workers from the harmful effects of Pillar 2. Without a G7 side-by-side agreement, Pillar 2 puts U.S. multinationals at a disadvantage by first exposing them to 2 layers of minimum taxes, the first of its kind in the U.S. system and the emerging OECD system, and 2, subjecting their traditional income-based tax incentives to stricter scrutiny than the corporate welfare programs in China and the EU. Under current OECD rules, traditional tax incentives can easily trigger the OECD minimum tax, enabling other countries to erode the U.S. tax base. Conversely, direct cash handouts or refundable tax credits favored by the OECD are more likely to be protected from the OECD minimum tax regime. Chairman Brady, you and I together sent multiple letters and inquiries to Secretary Yellen regarding these major competitive advantages that she ultimately turned a blind eye to in her pursuit of a global tax deal. Professor Klossing, I don't know what you may have seen those. You may have used those as target practice in the trash can, but we never got a response at all from any of those letters that we sent. And it's very unfortunate. And I think even my Democrat colleagues were opposed to those initiatives that were put forth by Secretary Yellen. Mr. Chairman, it is no secret that other countries are desperate for revenue and will do anything to take it from the U.S. fisc. How concerned are you about the proliferation of DSTs, digital service taxes, and other forms of novel extraterritorial taxation popping up outside of Pillar 2?
So a couple thoughts, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Hern. First, thanks for your leadership on the international tax area. Congratulations, and I applaud you for recognizing, all of you, the dangers of OECD Pillar 2. I would love to talk more about how out of the norm, how out of every traditional practice that Secretary Yellen, who I have a great relationship with, worked with her on monetary policy at the Federal Reserve, but how that drove America to the brink of a very damaging Pillar 2. But for this committee's leadership, we might be in a different, and President Trump, different position today. So digital service taxes are a horrible idea. It is a significant concern to the U.S. And this committee. They are, at the heart, discriminatory and clearly intended to target U.S. companies, as you know. And other countries are pretty open about that's what they're seeking to do, grab a major part of the U.S. tax base. They're typically, taxes are imposed on gross revenues, not this. Income that you're not eligible for foreign tax credits, so American companies would be double taxed while we're giving away our tax base. And so, as you know, President Trump and Secretary Besant really have focused on digital services taxes as part of the bilateral trade negotiations they're having today. They see this as these taxes as protectionist measures that distort trade flows, discriminate against America. In an ideal world, Congressman, I would hope foreign countries would repeal or respond in a way that doesn't invite further tariff action. I think that is exactly what needs to be done here. And in truth, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced businesses in those countries that are imposing these digital service taxes think this is such a good idea either. So I actually think there is some common ground within the business community around the world against these damaging taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.